George, if I were in F1 5 years earlier, Russell did not finish the race he was leading in Canada. His teenage teammate won the race, making it 4 in a row. In an eventful sprint weekend at the Gilles Villeneuve Circuit, we ended up with a podium of 3 generations of generational drivers. Although it might be a tad too early to call Kimi Antonelli that. Russell and Antonelli fought like mad in the sprint and the main race, and not everything we saw was what we call ethical racing. After everything that happened that weekend, did George Russell get what he deserved? I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. George Russell has had plenty of issues over the 5 races this season. His latest excuse was that the Miami track has never suited him with the lack of grip it has. It's already a bit questionable to have those types of excuses while fighting a teenager in the 2nd season, but okay. Some drivers have bogey tracks apparently. The track in Canada was more to his liking, and seeing that he got pole there a few times and a win, I suppose that claim holds ground. Russell managed to get the sprint pole position by beating Antonelli by 68 hundredths of a second. The next day after the sprint, which I will talk about later, they qualified for the main race. And George Russell beat Kimi Antonelli again by 68 hundredths of a second. Quite a coincidence that the gap was the same. Let's talk about the main race first. Russell lost his position at the start to Antonelli and to Lando Norris. I thought that was hilarious. Lando Norris is infamous for losing positions at starts. And this race he was on inters instead of slicks, and he came out of the first turn in first. Obviously this didn't last very long, because he was pitted to get rid of the inters on the dry track. You can tell that their team principal learned everything he knows at Ferrari. What a brilliant call. Now, I don't want to get through every overtake between the leaders lap by lap, as these regulations still have quite a bit of yo-yoing going on. But it was entertaining. I was obviously hoping they'd take each other out, as Verstappen managed to get Lewis Hamilton, and with the papaya cars out of the way, he was in P3. Antonelli was told to give a position back to Russell, which was debatable. But before we could brace ourselves for the pit stops and more Mercedes infighting, Russell had a major issue and parked the car. Russell then did something he was fined for, but I'm saving that for later as well. Kimi Antonelli was faster than the Red Bull of Max Verstappen in P2, the place he inherited after Russell went out, and Lewis Hamilton in P3. Verstappen had some issues with getting the harder medium tyres warmed up, so he had less grip. And Hamilton passed him around 5 laps before the end. Verstappen didn't fight it too hard, as he knew it was pointless, but Crofty thought it was amazing on the Sky broadcast, and Damon Hill couldn't contain himself and had to tweet about it, saying it reminded him of Nigel Mansell. On a side note here, I always love it when they praise Mansell, the man known for 31 wins and 32 crashes. A man who ran after fans like mad and physically fought with Senna. When it suits the narrative, a driver like that can be an example. Amazing, isn't it? So the podium was Antonelli 1, Hamilton 2, Verstappen 3. Hamilton is the legend from the 10s, Verstappen the legend from the 20s, and Antonelli could be their follow-up. Good to see the sport is in good hands. If only the regs were a little bit better. Now, I have to be honest here. I tweeted yabba dabba dooey dooey when Russell DNF'd. I know it's not very sportive to have this type of schadenfreude when a driver retires, but I'm of the opinion it was a little bit of karma for what happened during the sprint. It's quite easy to laugh at Woody because he's such a pompous ass most of the time. He always rubs me the wrong way with his theatrics all the time. I always get a sense that he's acting, and that, combined with his uncanny valley features, I usually don't mind seeing him lose. Now, dear Wimbo, what did George Russell do to deserve this karma, you might wonder? Well, I'll tell you. Russell and Antonelli were fighting throughout the sprint as well. Young Kimi, being a little unhinged and young, tried a few things other drivers may not have tried, but it was amazing to see. At one point Russell had locked up or something, was a little slower, and Kimi tried to pass him around the outside. Russell wouldn't have it and pushed him off track. Antonelli was fuming and kept complaining over the radio that he was ahead at the apex and should have been given space. I'm sure that if it weren't 2 Mercedes drivers fighting, this would have been investigated and chances are Russell would have received a penalty. Race control didn't do anything, so the stewards didn't get a look at it, which I find weird. The rules should be the same even if it's teammates fighting. I have a funny feeling Russell knew he was over the limit as well, because normally he's the first one to come over the radio to complain and then state the racing guidelines. We know Russell never does anything wrong. In this instance he stayed quiet, as far as I know. The F1 TV director was awful the whole weekend and kept missing things. They may have just not broadcast Russell's radios. Toto Wolff did show up on the air. He told Kimi to stop moaning and keep his grievances for the debrief. Kimi said, "If that's how we're gonna race, then that's good to know," or something along those lines. I love that, especially with him being so young. Now, you may be watching this as a more neutral fan or as one of the few Russell fans out there, and you might be inclined to say Russell did nothing wrong, as it was unclear who was ahead at that part of the turn. An apex is also a pretty dynamic thing, from what I've heard. I thought what Russell did was release the brake a little to get ahead again, and then he left Kimi no space. Now, which other driver is known to race like that? Ah yes, Max Emilian Verstappen. And what usually happens when Max does something like that? Yes, he gets destroyed for it by the British media and the drivers on the receiving end. This time it was all okay. Even Juan Pablo Montoya said it was okay to push the driver off on the outside, which I thought was funny because he was very angry at Schumacher doing that to him in 2004. You know who also agreed? Toto Wolff. He said he talked to his drivers and asked them, would Max have left a space on the outside? Would Max have pushed the driver off? So Max Verstappen, who has always been criticized for his aggressive driving style, is used as an example now. He's the benchmark now. Funny how things change. In any case, George Russell was pretty smug after winning the sprint and told the media he never doubted himself. He said that the stewards not doing anything about his defending was proof he didn't do anything wrong. Well, the racing gods thought differently, and that's why he DNF'd. He's over 40 points behind now, and it seems that Antonelli doesn't have any bad weekends. His driving is daring, his spirit is up, and he's often faster in the races than Russell. If I were George, I'd be really worried. Not just for the championship he's losing, but also for his seat. Max Verstappen has pretty much confirmed that he'll be in F1 for 2027, something he later then questioned again after qualifying. And when he was asked if he'd stay with Red Bull, he said that he'd always wanted to be involved with Red Bull, but there was enough time to decide on staying with Red Bull. Seeing how Wolff was praising Verstappen and how strong the Mercedes package is, the chances of Verstappen going to Mercedes have just improved again. This whole story keeps having these twists and turns. It's great. Well, for us, not for George Russell, who might have to look for another seat. His head won't rest for the rest of the season. Talking about headrests, he was so angry about his car stopping, he flung his stuff out of the car and chucked his headrest on the track. No, I'm not gonna say it. He lashed out in borderline violence. That was another bit of karma, wasn't it? Him making a big show out of Verstappen's anger issues and then displaying them himself. Bottas reportedly was glad not to be around Russell at that moment, in case he got slapped around the helmet again. Talking about slapping, slap that subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos. Take care now. Doei doei. Worst video ever.